So some of those older projects, due to normal ecosystem processes and natural plant community succession, have evolved to provide additional benefits to society. So for example, they can provide fish and wildlife habitat, pollinator habitat. They can be used for hunting, recreation, hiking, bird watching, and so forth.
When we look at projects, we look at a lot of possibilities what we can do with these projects, and we always say, well, make a nice retention area. We're seeing that we're getting more water quality than what we expected, actually. When we started seeing this by putting in different forms of rip-rap, slowing this water down, and we're seeing it really works out a lot better. We're getting a big bang for our buck with the water quality.
I am a firm believer that all those bigger impoundments do have natural resource enhancements to them. Number one is water quality, because you get runoff coming, along with that comes some sediment, and it holds it and lets that all settle out before it releases it. So, but also you start seeing some of these other benefits coming in. Although they may be temporal wetlands, you still are getting some wetland functional values out of these things. I firmly believe some of these impoundments that don't necessarily add the additional bells and whistles still do provide some natural resource enhancements.
The Red River Watershed Management Board's water quality program has been around since March of 2020.
What actually led up to it was in 2016, the board commenced work on a strategic planning process that was really intended to restructure and reorganize the board as a whole. Water quality is not a foreign concept to the board. The board has done quite a bit of funding of water quality studies and efforts in the past. The board's been a strong partner with water quality for decades actually, but more recently with our water quality program, that allows the board to bring some funding to the table to help our member watershed districts do water quality projects.
To do projects up and down the basin, our biggest challenge comes down to funding. These projects aren't cheap. Nothing is cheap anymore. And it really takes a lot of time to get the funding. We like to be ahead of the game, so we really push for these projects.
So the Red Board's water quality program helps its membership by providing an influx of money at the local level. And one thing we're kind of focused on at the international border between the United States and Canada, there are some nutrient objectives for nitrogen and phosphorus. And so it comes down to North Dakota and Minnesota doing water quality projects that will move the needle positively on water quality in the Red River itself.
Back again in the early 40s, late 30s, they took the channel of the Mustinko River and they took the meanders out of it. They made it a straight shot all the way from Herman, Minnesota to Wheaton, Minnesota. It sped the water up, and in the process it did a lot of erosion and a lot of damage. And so by building this impoundment, it will hold that water there. It'll take over 200 acres of drainage, and it will hold it over 2.5 to 3 inches of water from 212 miles, and it'll stack it up. And it'll hold it there until our engineers and the Corps of Engineers feels that it's safe to start emptying that water and bringing it back down the Mustinko. But it doesn't only do that, because we can't build a project in a watershed without having local benefit. So it will also give our farmers local benefit. It will improve our farmlands and give us a place to drain the water.
We need the extra funding. That's the biggest thing. I always stress we need more money to get this water quality done. Everybody sees the benefit when we all can work together.
So investing in water storage projects up in the Red River Basin benefits the citizens of the basin and Minnesota as a whole. And we have several legislative initiatives that have been focusing on water storage, climate-related initiatives, water storage on the landscape. There's also been several calls by the legislature and actually individual legislators to have more landscape water storage. And then state agencies are asking for more water storage across the state as well. So the Red Board, along with its membership, can provide that water storage up in the Red River Basin, and we can help with that water quality.